Forbidden fruit.
I looked that up. There's no. They say there's no connection to.
You believe that? That's what other versions.
Hashem
Other versions are the same thing.
Hashem made it work that way, but they claim that it wasn't the kavana.
Right, so I'm in big trouble here.
That's when you know you're doing the right thing.
That's right. You're right.
Gentlemen, you're all late. Yeah. Okay, so I've been talking a lot about Malachim, and I want to. And that was all a hakdama to learning Parak Yud Aleph inside. And the Nakuda was, the main Nakuda, just to sum it all up, and hopefully in 5 minutes or less, the Nakuda was that sometimes we find that Malachim stand higher than people. And the Rambam says in Hilchos Yesodei Torah, Parak Gimel, Halacha Tes, he says as a davar pashut that Malachim, of course, are higher than people. How can you compare Malachim to people? The other Rishonim, we're talking about already Rishonim, argue with the Rambam, and they say for sure Adam is more than a Malach. After all, Adam was Vayipach Ba'apav Nishmas Chayim. We don't find any place that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was Vayipach Ba'apav into anything other than people, not into trees, not into rabbits, not into Malach, just people. So people have a special Kedusha of Vayipach Ba'apav Nishmas Chayim. The Ovek HaDover is not just like, okay, well, we have God's breath. The Ovek HaDover is, it's more sophisticated than that. That there's nothing, there's no Beinayim, there's no Beitayim, there's nothing in between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and us. So whatever worlds that are there, that between us and Hashem, so to speak, Atzilus, Brio, Yitzir, Asir, doesn't make any difference because HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Kiviyachol, came to this world, came to the Gan Eden, Vayipach Ba'apav Nishmas Chayim. That didn't happen in Shabbat, that happened right here. So being that happened, it's not just that we have the nishmas, we have a nishma, but they don't. It's that we have this direct connection, meaning when we say Ein Mazel Yisrael, it's not just like, by the way, I once heard a rabbi, so Rabbi Arts, say Ein Mazel Yisrael, we're just not lucky.
That's true too.
That's also true. It's true. But he didn't mean it that smart like you. But just have no mazel, But Ein Mazel Yisrael is shot that we don't need mazel. We have a direct connection from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We could put ourselves under mazel, so if you want to put yourself there, you can do that. But that would be a silly thing to do because we have a direct hashgacha, if you will, with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, a direct connection. With HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that's the Vayipach Ba'apav Nishmas Chayim. So Yesod one is that whatever side of the Machlekes Rishonim you want to take, I don't think there's really a Machlekes of this. So it doesn't make a difference really who's bigger and who's not bigger. That's like a Chakira, which really has nothing to do with Levaisa, because the Matthias is we stand in a different place than Malachim. And who's big? I mean, nobody's going for a Nobel Prize here. Malach, it's not a tennis game between the Malachim and the people. It's just about like what we are. So the whole purpose, as Nefesh Hachaim says in Parak Yud, the whole purpose of creating the world. And by the way, if you look at let's say the Orthodox Chaim or Chaim Vital, the whole first, which is the Hakdama to Kabbalah, the whole first chapter of it, the whole Parak Aleph, all devoted to the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu's whole purpose of the creation was to create a Dira B'Tachtonim, as we know. The whole purpose was to as he says, how can he be a Rachum if there's nobody to have Rachmanas on? How can he be a Chanun if there's nobody to have Chalilah? So what good would the whole thing be if there was just Malachim? There's no Rachum on Malachim, and there's no Chanun on Malachim. They have to have people. And this is B'diyuk, what Moshe Rabbeinu said to the Malachim on Har Sinai, the famous story that we all know, Benachas the Gemara Menachos, the famous answer, the earth-shattering, literally earth-shattering answer that Moshe Rabbeinu said to the Malachim who asked him, "Mai liyilud isha beineinu? What are you doing? Why are you a man walking amongst angels? Ma pito? Who do you think you are?" And his answer was that, "Who do I think I am? You're just here to facilitate my existence. You're not. The Malachim have. The Malachim are not making a deal like Hakadosh Baruch Hu b'tachtonim. I am, and therefore you serve me. It's not. Let's get this straight over here. Bali yilud isha b'neinu. I am where this whole kedusha, the whole bria, and the whole whatever we can understand about the or passion of Hakadosh Baruch Hu. It's all for me. That's the pshat b'shvili nivra olam. It's all for me." So malachim are just facilitators, busy bees. They're doing all kinds of cool stuff, but it's not. Are they more kadosh in the sense that they're more spiritual? Okay, but it's not. There would be no milah of. I've often told the story because it made a big roshim on me. That I remember years ago, maybe 40-some years ago, 40-some years ago. That I remember sitting at a kiddush in yeshiva, and it was just right before like a Bein Hazmanim, and Rav Steinberg used to sit there. He didn't talk on Shabbos, which was a hell on this story. He never talked on Shabbos. Even Divrei Torah, he spoke in an abridged language, but he didn't speak. First of all, he didn't speak all week either, but he certainly didn't speak on Shabbos. But so somebody was saying, there was discussion across from him. He was there, he was where Rabbi Greece was, and everybody was sitting here. And there was a discussion about what are you doing, Bein Hazmanim, you're going here, you're going there, to Yule, So somebody said that they're going to Bnei Brak tomorrow, going to Bnei Brak. So somebody else said, going to Bnei Brak, at that time, the Mashgiach of Panovich Yeshiva was, Rav Chatzkel Levenstein, Zecher Tzadik, V'kadosh L'bracha. So somebody said, this was the conversation, somebody said, you should go to Bnei Brak, you should go just look. If you just go look, which I had the supposed to do, just go look at Rav Chatzkel Levenstein. People used to go look at him. You don't need to talk to him, just to go look at him. And you can see a malach. So Rosh Shiva spoke, Keneged Yotze Megidrei, and he said, if you look at Reb Chatzkel, who he knew from the mirror still in Europe, if you look at Reb Chatzkel, you're not seeing a malach, you're seeing a basar v'dam. That's the whole chap here. The whole chap is you're looking at a basar v'dam. See a malach, okay. The you see malachim. Malachim are just like facilitators and like code, but it's not the godless of an adam that can reach that level of kedusha is a whole different level. So that's for sure that in that sense, an adam, a basar v'dam, stands higher than a malach because he stands lower than a malach. He stands higher than a malach because he is the tachlis of the whole bria. That's the whole point. If we choose correctly in this world, it's all about us doing malchus HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Point one. Point two is we spoke about the kedusha meaning the prayer kedusha, which is so telling, Ladati, of how the whole thing works. And just the quick review is that Yeshayahu Hanavi, Perek Vav, Yeshayahu Perek Vav, in his very first nevuah, told us that what did he see? He saw Malachim, and the Malachim were Be'al Akisei, Srafim, as it was, and they all said, Kadosh, 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 Hashem Tzvakos, V'lai Kol Ha'aretz Gevoyim. And that was the nevuah of Yeshayahu. And from there, we learned to say Kedusha. Words, Lekadesh Shemcha Ba'olam, Nusach Ashkenaz. We can be Mekadesh Shem Hashem Ba'olam, Kishem Shemati Shemosai B'Shmei Baruch. Just like HaKadosh Baruch Hu's just like rather the Malachim are Mekadesh Hashem B'Shmei Baruch. How do we know what the Malachim do B'Shmei Baruch? Kakosu Vayad Nevi'echa. Because the Nevi'im told us, that's Yeshayahu. And Yecheskel later, the Karazel Zaviyamar. Kadosh, 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 Hashem Tzvakos. So we learned like a Gavaldic thing from Yeshayahu's Nevuah that we learned how to say Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. That's what we learned from the Nevuah. So what's important to understand here is that if you look at the Kedusha, what's happening over here, the Kadesh Shishimcha Ba'olam Kishem Shematish B'Shmei Baruch. So we're being the Kadesh HaKadosh Baruch Hu, just like the Malachim did. Kiddush of Yeshayahu, we can do this too. But we start off with what the Malachim do, but then we end up with what we do. Because what's the final thing in the Kedusha? Yimloich Hashem li'olam v'lekayach tziyah l'dor v'dor hallelujah. That we can bring all of this Kedusha that the Malachim do, or we can take the Kedusha of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we can bring it all the way down to the Bechina of Malchus. Malchus is the lowest level, and therefore it's the highest level. The lowest level meaning it's the Ya'ad, it's the goal. Right? What good would it be? What good would it do if a plane could get from here to Los Angeles in 2 hours, in 1 hour, in a minute if it can't land? There's no point to it if you don't have the Ya'ad. So Malachim can do cool stuff that we can't do Beseder, but the whole point is that the Shekhinah has to land. And that's called Malchus. In more Kabbalistic language, it's probably called something like Zeher. But the Nakuda of the Malchus is that Yimloich Hashem li'olam v'lekayach tziyah, that it ends up all the way to Yerushalayim. That's how detailed it is, and we know that the centerpiece of Tziyah is the Evan Hashasiyah. Shebimenu Hushasas Kollel Bais that the whole world comes from the Evan Hashasiyah. But the whole purpose of all these malachim and everything is to come to this world. So that's it comes out of Chiddush Nifla, by the way, that not just the kavanah of saying kedusha, that we're doing this, we're doing what the malachim do. In Nusach Sfarad and Musaf, it's even more graphic. Keser yidlecha. How's it? Keser
Malachim
avoidei malach. Imamcha Yisrael kibutzei bata. So meaning that yachad. So the yachad we need to be masber. What's the yachad? But what we have over here is that they're going even higher. Not just the kadesh shimcha ba'olam. I don't know, Nusach Sfarad is always more graphic. I would love to see a sefer. Somebody wrote one about all the interesting comparisons between Nusach Ashkenaz and Nusach Sfarad and why. It's just something which is, another one of those books that I'm never going to write. But it's just a fascinating thing. Why do they say Keser? We say Naritza. But whatever it is, it's very true. The Keser is the highest level of the spheres. Starts with Keser. That's in the spheres that we don't even know about. Keser, Chachma, Bina. So they're giving Keser, but only Imamcha Yisrael Kivutzei Mata, only with Klal Yisrael, which was Kivutzei Mata. And then if you keep on going, it's so beautiful. Right. But look what happens further as we go along. Then they say, V'karzel Zavi Amar, Kadavar Ha'amur Al Yad Nevi'echa, as Yeshayahu told us, V'karzel Zavi Amar, that the Malachim call to each other and they say, which we need to explain, Kadosh, 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 Hashem Tzaddik, L'oi Chala Aretz Kivoidai. They're already referring to the Aretz. Kivoidai, and then look at the house bigger. Kivoidai Mali Olam. The Shekhinah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu fills the whole world. B'shar Sav Shai Alam Zem Lazem, but the Malachim are looking for that Kedusha and Shemayim, and they're saying, yay, B'koim Kivoidai, L'aritzai. Where is this Makam Kabbalah? So they had it wrong, so to speak, when they said to Moshe Rabbeinu, "Bali Yiludisha B'neinu." You don't know where it's at. You don't know where it's at. I'll tell you where it's at. Listen to what this means. That the Makam of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he comes to us. You don't want to know where it is? You want to know where the action is? It's for us that are B'yachid Shmai. How are you B'yachid Shmai? By saying Shema. You want to know where it's at? It's with us saying Shema. Now, us saying Shema, we learned in the Gemara Chulun Tzadik Aleph, is the equivalent of the Malachim saying Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. How do I know that? because the Gemara says that look at Chaviv in Yisrael, look how beautiful it is, Klal Yisrael, that the Malachim can only be Mekadosh Hashem after Gimel Tevois, Kodesh, 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 Hashem, whereas Klal Yisrael sings Shira after 2 words. Shema Yisrael, Hashem. That's why I'm doing it.
So let's say you have saying Kedusha 3 times at Musaf. That change around something? When you say 3 times Kedusha, isn't that, should we say 3 times Shema maybe? Or
Why do we say 3 times Kedusha?
I'm saying when we say Musaf, we have Shachas, Musaf, Mincha.
Oh, the 3rd
So
time.
maybe we should
Hashem.
have Shema 3 times. I'm saying there's some sort of kesher between
As opposed to what, 2
2
times?
times, yeah. I'm saying,
Right, that's Musaf.
huh?
That's Musaf. That's the itself of Shabbos. That's what's called.
Shema maybe.
That's what's called Musaf, because there was an extra carbon, where another extra opportunity to be
Well, we're also
Mekadosh.
saying,
And then there was extra opportunity to have Hashem, extra carbon. So, hold a second. So important point that I want to speak about for a minute. That their Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh is our Shema Yisrael. That's Shira. This is Shira. You following me with this? Shira, says the Maral, is the Pshat. Shira is when you do your tachlis, you say Shira. Is there anything any greater time to say Shira than when I fulfilled my tachlis? I fulfilled my purpose in this world. Klal Yisrael said, Oz Yasher Moshe B'nai Yisrael, not because, cool, you split the Yam. That's not what it was. Now we've come to see that we are Klal Yisrael and we've done our tachlis. Now we can start moving. We're not an Ab B'Karavav. We're something special. We're something unusual. That's what the Shira was.
What was the job then? What did they do?
They became a Klal Yisrael. They started doing Malchus. They started doing Malchus right there. More with Mount Torah, more with Eretz Yisrael. But the Malchus that our job is. So, no, not a Kabbalah. They started worshiping Hashem. Why Kabbalah? They started worshiping Hashem. You say twice a day, Shema Yisrael. And look what we say. Look at the Pirush here. I'm just saying, wherever it says Chazan, that means Pirush. Hu Elokeinu, Hu Avinu, Hu Malkeinu, Hu Moshienu, Hu Yoshienu. What are we saying there? Hu Elokeinu, Hu Avinu, Hu Malkeinu. We're personalizing HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're bringing HaKadosh Baruch Hu from that very high esoteric place which we can't even understand. We're bringing him, maybe the Malachim are on the way, but we're bringing him to a place where we could say Hu Avinu. More important, Hu Malkeinu, Malchus. What we're talking about here is the actual involvement of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this world. That's what we're saying over here. So what we start off with the Malachim, we're getting to a much better place over here. And then, listen, Svarim again, interesting. V'yigolenu shedis, v'yashmeinu barachim leidei kol chai. Shedis leidei kol chai. V'yigolenu, thank you. Shedis. Hu Elokeinu, Hu Avinu, Hu Malkeinu, Moshienu, Hu Yoshienu, v'yigolenu. Shedis, v'yashmeinu barachim leidei kol chai. So what's the shedis here, Eric?
Second good one. Second
Gilui. The Gilui of Har Sinai was the first Gilui. The second Gilui is with Mashiach. That's the pshat. There will be another Gilui of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Not more Kedushim or more Torah necessarily, but a Gilui of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Galenu, Shadis, V'yashmienu, Shadis, according to other disciples. Yashmienu. We'll hear Hashem's voice again. Shadis. But this time it'll be not in the midbar, it'll be Le'enei Kol Chai. So what does that mean? Total Malchus will Klal Yisrael. Total Malchus. We're Kerta River der Welt. We're taking the whole world and we're bringing the Dvar Hashem into this world.
Is it Gilui to Klal Yisrael Bilvat, not to the woman?
Le'enei Kol Chai. Or to anybody who joins us. That's what the Geula is. The Geula is the ultimate in Malchus. It's important to understand it Kabbalistically. Meaning, the whole purpose, again, This is so important. There's nothing more important than this. That the whole purpose of the world, right? That's not important. The whole purpose of the world is to make a dira k'tachtoin. And every time we do a mitzvah, every time we say Shema Yisrael, we're making a dira k'tachtoin. We're showing and demonstrating and talking about the fact. Let's talk about the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is involved in this world. Now, the ultimate in that, the next step, after saying Shema Yisrael, is Hu Yashmienu Shadis, that there will be a Geula. What does the Geula mean? It's not just a Geula, no more Holocaust, no more wars. We will no war. That's nice, but why? What's more important than the fact that bread will grow on trees? What's more important is the ultimate tikkun will take place, and the tikkun means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will be part of this world. Ro kol amei haaretz, everybody will see. Or in the words of Kedusha, not just us, not just a group of small group of Orthodox Jews in Beit Shemesh, but la'enei kol chai, everybody will see, and that is Hey go'alti eschem achris kereishis liyos lachem le'lokim ani Hashem elikechem. Uvedivrei kodshecha kasuv leimor, or in the words of the Nevi'im, Yimloich Hashem liyoylam elikayach tzilus over their home. So there you have Kedusha on, souped up Kedusha of Nusach Svard, explaining the whole thing that happens when we say Kedusha, and explaining the whole, the goal of Malchus as we understand it. So here let me just explain something very, very important, which will sum up the whole thing. Yeshayahu HaNavi had a nevuah, Kaddish, Kaddish, Kaddish. Presumably, from that point on, after that nevuah, we started to say Kedusha. Kaddish is Shimcha Ba'ilot, Kishem Shabbat Tisha Ba'isib B'Shmei Baruch. Karkosu Ba'yad Nevi'ach. We didn't know until the Navi told us. We're learning here. Let's look at the first couple of lines of Perek Yud. V'zeu atam, that we find Shamalachim Amakdishim B'Shmei Baruch, that these malachim that Yeshayahu was talking about, that are Mekadosh is Hashem, I say Kaddish, 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 B'Shmei Baruch, that's what's going on right now in the heavens. Bamtilim, they wait, Milashalesh Kedushasam, to say Kaddish, 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 and Acher Sha'alu B'Shal Shlim Kedusha L'Mata. Imam Chol Yisrael El Kibbutz say Mato, right? They can't do anything until we activate them. Push start. So it starts here. The Yaakov Avinu's nevuah was one of those famous nevuahs in history. Was Malachei Elikim Oilim Yardim Ba. Rashi B'Tchila Oilim Acharka Yardim. The whole thing starts with us. So this is Yaakov Avinu, the chap of his nevuah, not that they had ladders and Shabbat. The chap was not that there's malachim. He knew all that also. Like he had fights with malachim. But the kuda, the chiddush was the malachei elikim oilim v'yardim boy. That it starts with us, meaning that we can't do, the malachim can't do anything. Going up, that is, the malachim can't do anything. They have to wait for us.
So they're already down here, but our action makes them go up.
That's correct. Kindal, Perek Vav, Afshek Nushasam, and here he gives a shout out to the Rambam. Afshek Nushasam L'mala B'Kedushaseinu. They're holding out to themselves. What are they waiting for us for? Who's having covenant for who? So says Reb Chaim Volozhin, Lo Shehem Chol. He says it so clearly the way it is. Lo Shehem Cholkim Kavod L'Yisrael. It's not like your first Rakasha. You say Kedusha, and we'll say Kedusha. No. Ela she'ein b'koicha v'yicholta b'klal mitzad atzom livtoyach piem lahaktish li'yotzer. They have no koach to say Kedusha, no koach. It's like asking a computer to work before you turn it on, or before you give it a command. They have no koach to do anything with all of the power that they have. They're just malachim, that's all.
In the Nevuah, we show that before that time, they never said.
I'll get there. Al aliyas kol kedushas Yisrael aliyah bilbata. So it has to start off with kivutzei bata. Or in the Kadesh Shimcha Ba'olam, we have a new taich, Kishem Shemachti Shemoisei B'Shmei Baruch. So what's the Kishem? Who's imitating who? The answer is this is a very interesting circle here. Because what happened was that Yeshayahu HaNavi told us what the Malachim did. And now he tells us, and you know what? They're not going to do it until you do it. So how does this circle work? Who goes first? And here he's telling us clearly, and he's right, because it's clear in all the Svarim that they're mabtided. They wait for us to say kedusha. Ki inyan amiris hakedusha hu ha'aloas ho'ilomais v'skashrusam. The idea of saying kedusha is raising up these worlds, being makasher, one world to the other. It refers to the world of Atzilus, Bria, Yitzira, and Asiya. How do you make what does that mean? It means that how do you bring Atzilus into Bria? How do you bring Bria into Yitzira? How do you bring Yitzira into Asiya? Meaning, we live in the world of Asiya. How do you make Asiya into a Makom Kadosh? Bringing everything down and then setting it back up, and it's an infinite circle. But the Malachim can't start bringing anything up if there's nothing to bring up. They can only bring up what we create. So it says Reb Chaim Volozhin, Inyan Amiris HaKedusha, he, so, what is it? Ha'alas, ha'olamais v'yiskashrusam. Kol olam, ha'olam shemi olav. It's the job of a malach, think esoterically for a second, to be makasher, the world that it's in, to the world above it. Until it all comes up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's what makes the whole world work. So this is our circle that we're looking. So Frank Pitty, a good kasha. So if that's the way it works, how could Yeshayahu have a nevuah that this is what the malachim are doing if the malachim weren't doing it until we say kedusha? Like your kasha. We're circular reasoning here.
Why does that
What?
Isn't the pasuk of Eid Sheyaleh min haaretz lashkot et hagan? The whole pshat there that until we daven that things should grow. It can grow. It's there.
Which means that what?
It required our pu'ula to get it going.
Yeah, and very good what you're saying, because it's not that we had to daven for it in order for it to grow. That's not what it means. What it means is Terab Yitzmach, as opposed to Terab Yitzmach. What it means is that if there's no Adam, there's no purpose. And now we're learning something else. If there's no Adam, there's no Mala, there's nothing that's happening that's going to make this whole rain cycle work. The whole world is not going to work. Right, unless we say Kedusha.
I thought we learned though with Reb Tzaddik that in Shabbos, right, that it all starts up on top, that Hashem starts it, and then we push it up from there.
It starts off on top the first time. That's what Reb Tzaddik said. We learned years ago. That the first time it starts up on top with Shabbos, and then it goes down, he says, and then the second Shabbos is holier than the first Shabbos because that's the one we're bringing up. So the first one is the Sarusa de Leil, the second one is the Sarusa de Losata, if you're mentioning it. And that's why, Mole Shabru B'nai Yisrael Shtei Shabbos is beyond the goal. Two Shabbos. That's good. So let me just.
So wasn't the word Chiddush then, if we've got this pasuk to teach us this?
Yes, I want to answer that question.
Is there a chiluk between
One thing's for sure, excuse me, if we wouldn't say whatever we say, Kedusha, then the Malachim would say Kedusha. And if the Malachim would say Kedusha, then the world wouldn't work. It would just go back, let's tell you about it. Probably what happened, like at the time of the Bible, is you didn't have a saying Kedusha. But the question is, okay. Why did you have it in your head?
There was a steer.
Yeah. Look. Let's go back to this original kasha, and everything will be answered, I believe. And then as Dora's question, please question. He had a nevuah about saying Kaddish, 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 so that's when we do that. So if we didn't know that before, so how did the world work? That's the question. The world won't work unless we say Kedusha. It's important to say Kedusha, say it with a minion. This is the important. If nobody, he says later, if nobody would ever say Kedusha, Chas v'shalom, there wouldn't be 1 million anywhere saying Kedusha, the whole world would work. The whole system would work. It's just an amazing thing. The teretz is that Kedusha is defined in the Gemara I just mentioned in the Chulin Tzadik Aleph. So Kedusha doesn't mean necessarily Kaddish. The Malachim say that, we could say it also, Kashem Shabbat Pisha Boysa Bishmei Mara. But we have, as the Kedusha says, as the Kedusha Tefillah says, we have a better madrega of Kedusha. We say, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. So, as long as we're saying Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, we're activating the Malachim. And everything's happening. We say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, and that's what the Kedusha says. It says that they say Kedusha, where is it really at? Where is this all beginning? And the answer is, so it really starts with our Shema. Now the Shema, obviously, is earlier than Yeshayahu. Yeshayahu said Kriya Shema. Yaakov Avinu said Kriya Shema. Where does Shema start? And I'm here to say this word, it doesn't make any difference. Because it's not the word Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. It's the concept. And the concept is being ma'ached HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this world and showing his involvement. And here, I just want to share with you another difference. That this is how the whole thing worked, Ladati. That the Shechina was in this world in Gan Eden. Under Rishon to the Chet, the world stopped working. Chaitz the dar, Chaitz the The world stopped working. The world was waiting for a tikkun. How do we get back to the fact, what's the tikkun? The tikkun is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is back in this world. That the world is working. You see, we think the world is working because we don't know better. We think as long as, Apple keeps putting out the models, the world seems to be working, right? Long as, there's, here, long as the, elections in the United States of America are, working in some kind of a democrat, the world's not working. The world's not working when there's thousands of people decapitating each other and shooting each other, and the world is not working. The world is broken. It works a little bit, but we don't understand what it really means to work. It's something like health, like you can think you're healthy until you really get healthy, and then all of a sudden you realize, I wasn't healthy. All of a sudden I have more health, all of a sudden I have more energy, all of a sudden it's only, so we think the world's working, it's not. So the world stopped working by the Chet of Adam Harishon. And the Tikkun began to take place where? Avraham Avinu. The Gemara says 2,000 years of Toyu Vavayim. 2,000 years. Alpayim Shana. Toyu Vavayim. That means that whole, they tried, that maybe Chanoich, maybe Noach, Hu Yinacha, maybe he'll be the Tikkun, but they weren't. They weren't a Tikkun, for one reason or another, as Chazal point out with each case. There was no Tikkun until Avraham Avinu. So Avraham Avinu did the Tikkun. Now remember, this is the key thing. What does it mean to do a Tikkun? Doesn't mean, right, that he's doing some kind of a rabbisher thing. It means that he's bringing HaKadosh Baruch Hu into this world, creating Malchus. That's what Malchus means. Hashem is part of the world. That means the world is fixed. When Hashem is part of the world works. When Hashem is Shinta Begalusa, the world does not work. To the extent that we're saying Kedusha is working a little bit. But it's a shaky wire right now. It's a shaky wire. It's still not working well. So Avraham Avinu, whether he said the words or he didn't say the words is not important. Whether he said Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad or not is not important. What's important here is that he was B'yached Shem Hashem Bo'elam. I think he probably did say Shema Yisrael because you see that when Yaakov met Yosef, he said Shema Yisrael. Where do you get it from? It must have been some kind of a source. But it's not important. What's important is that he was saying Shira to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And I want to, that's when he was 52 years old, that's when the Tikkun began. That's when Klal Yisrael began, and that's where the Jewish people began, And that's when the Shekhinah started coming back into the world that we live in. This is what's so important. That's when we started to say, activate Malachim again by bringing HaKadosh Baruch Hu into this world. And I'll tell you something even more, like that's macro, there's micro here. Because, I spoke on Shabbos, this Nakuda, that if Noach would have lived in the time of Avram, the Dor Shel Avram, he would have been great, he would have been bad. So I asked on Shabbos, Noach did live in the time of Avram. Noach died when Avram Avinu was 58 years old, according to the vendors, they even met each other. He lived in the Dor Shel Avram. What do you mean? Ilu Hayam Dor Shel Avram. He lived there. He was there. It's clear. Probably had nachas from him, right? Great grandson. Probably had nachas from Avram, right? B'nai Shem. Look, he's finally doing what I couldn't do. Beautiful. I mean, who wouldn't have nachas from your Einikel, doing this? So what does it mean, Ilu Hayam Dor? The answer is that wasn't the Dor Shel Avram. Dor Shel Avram started when Hashem said to him, Lech Lecha. And he was 75 years old, and Noach was long gone. And why am I saying this? And here's what I glean from the Rambam. It's just so important. That there were two stages in the career of Avram Avinu. Two very different stages and very important distinctions to be made. The first part of Avram Avinu's life, excuse me, the first part of Avram Avinu's life was debating and proving the proof about God. If there's a God, walk through the fire, okay, I'll prove it. I'll walk through the fire. He went around Haran, traveled Mesopotamia, which was the known world, walked along the Euphrates, which was the fertile place of the world, then later on into the fertile crescent of Egypt. And he explained to people about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He explained to people that it's totally illogical, philosophically, to say that the world just came out of a bluff. It's totally ridiculous to pray to an idol. He was an iconoclast in the literal translation of the word. Icon is an idol, class is the break. So he was the idol breaker. He was an iconoclast of the highest order. This was not yet Avram Avinu in his godness. This was not yet the Dor Shel Avram Avinu. The Dor Shel Avram Avinu happened when he not explained to people the Metzias of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's when he was able to show HaKadosh Baruch Hu's involvement in the world, the Hashgacha Pratis, the Kedusha. That was the Malchus that he created. You with me on this? It's not about, is there a God? And that's very effective. You could do codes, you could do 9 groups of God, you could do all kinds of things. I don't believe anybody becomes from with that, per se. Okay, that's nice. Permission to believe, that's the title of the book is. Nice. I found in my own career that all of the codes and the proofs and this and that, they appeal to the Bali Gaiva that say, well, I have a scientific approach, and until I heard the mathematical equations of the Torah and the codes, I wasn't able to believe it. No, that's how it's going. What really happened is that they wanted to believe. And they knew to believe. They had a klipa that had to be removed. But what's the real thing? V'haraya, that intelligent Jews throughout history, even non-intelligent Jews, have given up their life on Kiddush Hashem. That's Malchus. What's important here is that Avram Avinu brought this philosophy to the next level and made it real. And that is Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. You know why Yaakov Avinu said Kriya Shema when he met his son Yosef? It's like, wow, Hashem is really involved with this world. That's what it was. It wasn't that he has my Kriya Shema. Sorry. That's not the pshat. The pshat is he said Kriya Shema, and he said Kriya Shema then, he said Kriya Shema at the end of his life, Rashi says. Right? and when he was dying, and all his sons were around him. Look at the hashgacha pratis, and what we should do. I'll tell you like a good thought exercise. That instead of always walking around saying, "Wow, what hashgacha pratis," which means like, what's that word? Serendipity. What's the word? Serendipity. Thank you. Look how everything is synchronizes. It's a different thing. We should say, "Wow, what malchus!" Meaning, HaKadosh Baruch Hu's mamish, right? Ruach Elokim Barach Nefesh Hachaim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu's mamish walking the world. But this is what Avraham Avinu accomplished when Yaakov Avinu. It's so pashut that this is the pshat, by the way. When Yaakov Avinu saw Yosef, first of all, he saw Malchus. Second of all, he saw Malchus like it says in Divrei Hayamim, Shlomo Yosef al Kisei Hashem. He saw Malchus, but he saw Hashgacha Pratis. He saw how like what he thought that was like almost like Hashem left his life. He lost Yosef and his sons, and they're arguing, lava azavtani, keli lava azavtani. I said, wow. Like, there's a whole plan here. Kodesh Baruch is involved in the world. Klal Yisrael's needed this king in Mitzrayim. Like, okay, I don't have to tell you the whole Bereshis and Shmos. You know the story of the Jewish people. But that, like, what he saw was that is called Kriya Shema. Whether he said the words of Kriya Shema or not, that's called Kriya Shema.
So you're saying there are two stages to Avram's life. So when did he show this that he didn't do it in his walking along the
V'karasa b'shem Hashem. Later it says v'kara b'shem Hashem. V'yikra b'shem Hashem. In other words, that's a different story. V'yikra b'shem Hashem is not referring to a full, and we don't even have any record in Chumash of that whole first part of until Lech Lecha. What do we know? We have 3 psukim in Noah. 3-4 psukim. We don't know. We don't know he walked at the fire. I mean, we know because Chazal told us. But it's not part of the eternal legacy of Avraham Avinu as described in the Chumash, because what Avraham Avinu did at 75 years old is he ended the 2,000 years of mayhem and klola and the brokenness of the world of tohu, and then things started to get better. One thing after the other had to go through what it had to go through until we ended up with being in Eretz Yisrael. Until we ended up with the Beis Hamikdash. Until we ended up with Har Sinai. Until we ended up with all the things that we ended up with. That's where the 2,000 years of Torah began. So what we need to understand is that what did Yeshayahu say? He said, we've been doing this forever. We've been Mekadosh Hashem forever, since Avraham Avinu. This is what it means to be a Jew. And what his nevuah was, I got some detail on this, guys. I had a nevuah yesterday. And the detail is that I saw Malachim say, Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh Hashem Tzavakos. And as the Nefesh Hachaim tells us, and you know what they're waiting for? You know when they say Kadosh, 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 it makes the tikkun of the whole world. You know what they're waiting for? They're waiting for you to say Kedusha. Because when you say Kedusha, whether you say it in the Lashon of Kedusha, or whether you say it in the Lashon of Shema Yisrael, which the Gemara Yechulin says is Kedusha, the Shira, or whether you say Yimalech Hashem Le'olam L'Kayis, or you just live it that way. When you bring HaKadosh Baruch Hu to this world, that activates the Malachim big time. And once the Malachim are activated, so the cycle of Tikkun begins. And Hu Yigalenu Shedis. This is what the Geula is. It's a Geula of Yimalech Hashem Le'olam. So we'll pick it up then.
But aren't you saying that they're saying it first? They're saying it, waiting for us to say it.
They're not saying it first.
So if they're saying it first.
They're not saying it first.
Oh, they're not saying it first.
They're saying it because Avraham Avinu taught us to say Shema. And now what we're saying is we could include, because the only thing that Shaar would do, we could include the Lashon of Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh in our Yimalach, which is what the whole Kedusha does.
For those that are left, just a reminder, Monsey Shabbos for the men that aren't going to the